as we talked about meditation, and I think about my meditation practice, there are days where I go to sit and my mind, even in 15 or 20 minutes, doesn't quiet to that point where there's a possibility of watching a movie.
What are you doing? What are you focused upon in meditation?
I have a wonderful air conditioner app as well.
Describe to us what's happening that you realize is preventing you from getting to that clear space.
I really think of it like being at, say, dinner, and you're having a conversation with a friend, and there's all the tables around you, and they're having conversation, and I can get to the point where I tune them out, but those conversations never really fully quiet down. And so...
Who are you tuning out? The friend across the table or the people around you?
The people around me.
So that you can focus on the conversation.
Right.
But the difference is that's an active conversation that interests your investigative mind. And that's what we want to tell you that you're dealing with. You've trained this mind to focus and think. And so it's not the easiest thing in the world to ask it not to think, because it's a thinking mechanism. It's your point of attraction. It's your awareness. It's transmitting and receiving. So we're just asking you to think about something that's boring instead of something that's interesting. When Esther focuses there right away, she begins to feel that. Do you? Do you know that feeling of detachment?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And is the feeling of detachment, is it a good thing?
Yes.
Under these conditions, is it a good thing while you're driving? No. Is it a good thing when you're having a conversation with someone across the table?
Depends on what they're saying.
Trying to help you. Well, you're right. Sometimes it's easier than others. So we're talking about focusing. Usually focus means, to most people, focus on a subject and cause the subject to become more. That's what focusing does. If you've been thinking about something, don't you notice that it starts showing up? And then if you get into a conversation with other people about it, don't you notice that the momentum on all subjects increases when you focus upon it? So isn't it logical that the momentum of a quieted mind would increase when you focus upon something that has not much to consider? And so just focus there for a minute. It's not the easiest thing in the world to separate yourself from the people you're sitting next to or from what's going on in the room and focus on that. But if you close your eyes, you can. If you close your eyes and just listen. Esther will say to herself, hear it, hear that, just that. Now, she's clearly in conversation while she's doing it, but within not very long, she feels the physical evidence of detaching from other thoughts. And that feeling of detachment is that vibrations that were active cease to be active. And now she's being called as a cooperative component to that broader part of her. And once she clears the atmosphere of resistance and breaks into that no pull of gravity or no pull of resistance, then the thoughts of her inner being are the movie she sees. You see what we're getting at? Just play with this. Just play with it. You're so accustomed to making things happen. And we just want you to know you've made them happen. Now you have to let them happen. And by continuing to try to make them happen, you prevent them from happening. You don't let them happen while you're trying to make them happen. You can't focus on the absence of what you want and allow the presence of it. It's very different. This is such a leading edge discussion. And it is the piece that sometimes people just stumble on. There are a lot of people that are just that way in nature. You know them. Often they just won't focus with you. They're off in their own world. You see them sort of daydreaming. But as a society, or as a productive member of society, you've come to believe that you got to be hard after it. And when you are, then you're doing a wonderful job. And you're often even doing what we're talking about here. But your conscious, focused thought in comparison with receiving of this non-physical intelligence that is operating on your behalf, it's the difference between a firecracker and an atomic bomb. Enormous power of non-resistant thought is what we're talking about. And it's worth figuring it out. It's worth going through the personal awkwardness of listening to the air conditioner. It's worth going through the personal awkwardness of just for a little while not having a thought and seeing what it feels like. It's worth seeing if you can accomplish within your own body the sensation of a quieted mind and then tension, because those thoughts don't let go of you easily, because the law of attraction has been summoning them. There is a gravitational pull. You're on your way. You're sort of testing that gravitational pull, but you're going to break out of it. And when you do, that sensation of the releasing of resistance, that's what we want you to go for. The releasing of resistance will bring you everything you want. And it will bring it fast. But more important, it will bring a steady stream of satisfying experiences, one after the other, that will show you your worthiness, your blessedness, your creativity. Really good.
Hello, Abraham.
Yeah.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. You took all of that in, didn't you? And it's a little tricky now to say, now I want to talk about this, because it sounds like Abraham just wants to talk about the air conditioner. Can you imagine a seminar? Someone sits down, a very vivid question. We just point toward the air conditioner and then, come on up, and then they say something, we just point toward the air conditioner. Come on up and just point toward the air conditioner. Pretty soon you'll save your money and just point toward the air conditioner.
So, I have a question. I remember from Denver when you talk about our own Abraham, and that we all have our own guidance, and we have the non-physical part of us in the physical part, and it's all connected, collected. It's a part of all of who we are. And for myself, I have an experience when I do meditation that someone speaks through me, and a voice coming in and changing, and I feel just the words coming.
So we want to say to you, that's the same as watching the movie. In that case, it's more like listening to the story, but that's what that is.
So, can you expand more about our own Abraham, our own guidance?
We started today by talking about you and you. We don't want the you to disappear. We want the you to allow more of the you to be present. In other words, think in terms of your total self or the whole of you. You came knowing that you would experience contrast, and that's not really the whole of you experiencing the contrast, because your inner being doesn't experience the contrast. But right away you launch the rocket, and now your inner being is involved. We know what you're getting at. You want to know, so what's this non-physical energy? And you acknowledge the Abraham that is flowing through Esther, and now you're having your personal experience where you are quieting your mind and allowing your vibration to rise and actually receiving impulses of thought and impulses of conversation, and you want to know who that is. And we want to ask you not to try to quantify it, because it digs up all kinds of expectations that are not helpful. Esther began when she was at the stage that you're at. These were the segments that she offered then. Abraham, I want to speak clearly your words. And what she meant by that is, I don't want any clutter, and I don't want any of my questions or negative expectations or worries to be part of this. I just want to speak clearly your words. And so that's a helpful thing to just acknowledge when you're there. Also, and this is the most important thing, don't try to make it happen. Just let it happen. That's something. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. And here's a key word. Oh, this is so helpful. It would have helped Esther so much if she had known this back then. It worked out all right. But when you're letting it happen, it feels so good. When you're trying to get it or trying to hear it or trying to speak it, or when there's that angst within you, then it doesn't feel good. Then it feels like a tension. And you know the difference. Sometimes you just let it flow, and sometimes you don't. Is there someone present with you while you're doing it? Or is it just you? Somebody else there? You have a friend in the room with you while the thoughts are coming and you're speaking? Then record it. Record it. You follow? Esther had the experience of Jerry. Jerry was full of the questions, and Esther's mind was clear. Esther was just living happily ever after. It was really easy for Esther to quiet her mind. It had never been that active. In the sense that she wasn't trying to boss anybody around. She wasn't trying to make anything happen. She was a straight A student. She was loving life. She was very intelligent. She just wasn't trying to change the world. She wasn't interested in politics. She wasn't interested in religion. She wasn't interested in what her neighbors were doing. She wasn't worried about what was going on in the world. She was focused upon living happily ever after. She was living happily ever after. It's, what are we going to do today? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? So she was already in that place. But most people are not quite in that place. And so it's about getting in that place, and then as it flows, record it so that you can listen to it later with your fuller combined mind. Does that make sense? Are we getting to what you're reaching for?
Yeah, I feel it, and creation, the inside creating the outside, the feeling of just be relaxed in it and just letting it, like you say, just letting it be.
And accepting that the creation has already happened. Imagine yourself being a Hollywood movie maker, and you hired a director and you found a script. The producer is in place, and you gathered all the actors, and they shot the movie, and the editor edited the movie, and now it's on a big roll, and you're sitting to watch it. So it's all done. Now you're just going to watch the movie. Well, that editor is not just going to watch the movie. He's going to analyze every part of it. He's going to be the only one in the room ever that doesn't enjoy the movie. But we want you to enjoy the movie that you've made, because your inner being is your production staff. The law of attraction has gathered it all together. The cooperative components have all been gathered with every intention that you've ever held as being a powerful, nuanced, way that it all came about. So now you can, there's that trust word again, you can trust that if you can accomplish that quieted mind, that then you can just let the movie play. And Esther got so she knew when it was time. She could tell when it was time. She could tell when the movie was ready to play. Now it's easy. She just stands over there, quiets her mind, listens to the air conditioner, seriously, allows her vibration to rise, and then off we go. Good enough?
Yes, thank you so much. I love you.
This is a good time for a segment of reflection.
Don't forget to leave a positive message and subscribe.